Hello, and welcome to the September 2023 installment of LouElla's Wine Explorers Club. My name is Noel Scher. I am the Director of Retail and E-Commerce at LouElla. And if you're new to the club, welcome aboard. If you've been with us for a while, thank you so much for your support, and I hope you're enjoying being on this vinous adventure with us. We're doing the video a little bit different this month. We're doing a single video for both the $100 and $150 membership levels. The first four wines we talk about, everybody will be receiving. The last two wines will be additional for the $150 monthly members. But if you're a $100 member, don't worry. If there's one of those additional wines you'd like to get, as long as there's availability, we can get you a bottle at the club discount. Just send me an email at noel@louelladurham.com, I'll put that in the block below, and we'll get it all set up for you. So now, here are the wines for the September 2023 installment of the Wine Explorers Club. The first wine in your September selection comes to us from Switzerland. It is the 2021 Cave to Chateau d'Auvergne Neuchâtel Blanc. I really like Swiss wines, but unfortunately you don't see a lot of them in the American market, and the ones you do tend to be a little bit on the expensive side, but they're really, really interesting wines. The Chateau d'Auvergne is a very, very old estate. It's been in the same family line in this region of Neuchâtel since 1603. Auvergne is the name of a subcommune within the Neuchâtel region, which is named for the lake that this vineyard area sits right along the eastern side of. In fact, this lake sits just on the other side of the Jura Mountains in France, home to some great French wines, and you've heard me talk about it again and again, mainly comprised of limestone soils, sort of the secret ingredient for a lot of great wines. This wine is made from 100% Chasselas grape, also known in certain parts of Switzerland as Fendant. You'll see that sometimes on labels. It's lees aged, so it has an extra sort of creaminess to complement what it's a very stony, mineral, bright, and crisp white wine. This is a great sort of transition from summer into fall white. It's bright, it's light, it's refreshing, but also has that extra richness to it from that lees aging. So this is normally $36 on the shelf. You're getting it for $28.80 at the membership price. And as always, if you want to get some more, just let us know. Although I will say with this one, it is made in very, very small quantities. And I think we got a couple of cases that were available to us in North Carolina. But you never know. So if you really enjoy it, do send me an email and we can get you some more, hopefully. The next wine is really cool. This is the 2021 Equipo Navassos Palomino Fino Ovni. This one requires a little bit of explanation. Back in 2005, a group of sherry lovers began a project called Equipo Navassos, in which they would go to sherry country, to Jerez, and identify single casks of very rare, very long-aged sherry that were just sort of sitting around and aging in the cellar of some sherry producer. They began bottling these single cask sherries and bringing them to the market in 2006, and they immediately got a tremendous amount of critical attention. Collectors started snapping them up. They were bottled in tiny, tiny little lots. That continues to today. They're up to lot 100 and something or another. But recently, Equipo Navassos began a project of making still wines, and still in the sense of sherry that they are not fortified wines, from the grapes that sherry is made from, in this case, Palomino. So this is a still non-fortified table white wine made from the same white grape that most sherry is made from, but it tastes nothing like sherry. Whereas sherries are very nutty and rich and have that oxidized quality, this is beautiful, bright, mineral. It has a little bit of a creamy texture to it. It's got a lower alcohol level, about 11%, which makes it perfect for sort of refreshing drinking on a warm evening. This all comes from a single pago. Pago is the name they use in Spain for single vineyard, and it's a single pago called Miraflores La Baya. And that's located in the region of Sanlúcar de Barrameda, where some of the great sherries of the world come from. Here in this area, they have very, very chalky soils that is known locally as albaritza. If you ever get to walk these vineyards, your shoes are going to get a lot of dusty chalk on them. So don't wear your best shoes if you're ever walking in a sherry vineyard. This is a really delicious bottle. I was very excited to taste it for the first time recently. We brought down just a few cases of it from the supplier, from the importer up in New York. So it's made in tiny, tiny quantities. Normally it would be about $28 on the shelf. For club members this month, it's $22.40. If you want to get some additional bottles of this, it might take a couple of weeks to get down because we'll have to bring down additional from New York, I think. But I'm pretty certain there is a little bit more of this available in the country. So hope you enjoy it. This next wine is one that I've been selling, drinking, and enjoying for almost 20 years now. It is the Matteo Correggia Vinho de Tavola Anthos. It's the 22 vintage of this. This is a really, really interesting red wine from Italy's Piedmont region. The Correggia family is a multi-generational family who's been farming here for quite a while. Unfortunately, Matteo, the father, passed away a few years ago, but his wife and children have been carrying on his tradition of working this small vineyard fully organically, no chemical herbicides or pesticides. The Anthos cuvee, which takes its name from a single vineyard parcel named Anthos that these grapes come from, is made from Bracchetto. Bracchetto is a grape variety, a red grape variety, that traditionally is made into a sparkling sweet wine in the Piedmont. Bracchetto d'Acqui is the name of that wine, and we have one on the shelf at the store if you're interested. In this case, they are using the Bracchetto to make a dry wine, but it still has a lot of the effusive, beautiful floral notes and fruit of a much sweeter wine, even though there's no residual sugar here. So this is a great red to chill nicely on a warm September night. Have it on its own. It goes great with hard cheeses and salami. This is all grown in a fairly high elevation vineyard, about 300 meters above sea level, as are many of the vineyards of the Piedmont. It's all fermented and aged in stainless steel for 8 months. Tiny production on this wine. There's only 333 cases or so of this wine made every year. So it kind of comes and goes in the market. So I wanted to snag some for you while it was available. So the 2022 Matteo Correggia Vinho de Tavola Anthos, normally on the shelf for $27. This month you'll be getting it for the club price of $21.60. Cheers. Quick commercial break here. If you enjoyed the Correggia Anthos and are interested in learning more about wines from Northern Italy, the next wine class I'll be teaching at LouElla's is going to be happening on Tuesday, September 26th at 7 p.m. And the topic is the wines of Northern Italy. Tickets for the class are $50, limited to 20 people. So if you're interested, follow the link below and get your tickets today. Hope to see you there. This next wine is a new discovery for me. It's the 2020 Capitan Finegas Rioja La Union. It's also got a really cool label. It's like a bird person chasing a butterfly. Really cool. I don't know a lot about this wine, other than the fact that I tasted it and thought it was really, really delicious. It's the personal project of a winemaker named Mario Ruiz Clavillo. He's making this wine out of the winery of his family. This is a kind of a common thing with young winemakers today who come from larger winemaking families. They kind of break off, they want to do their own project, which is usually philosophically or stylistically different than their family's wines. Mario here working in a much more natural, brighter, lighter style than is typical for Rioja. Rioja, of course, coming from the central northern part of Spain. This bottling is primarily Tempranillo and Graciano, are the two grape varieties in the blend here. Everything is harvested by hand, totally destemmed, and then pressed. The fermentation takes place only in stainless steel, and then it is aged in very old French oak. I really, really like this wine a lot. Riojas have a tendency for me to be over-oaked very often with American oak, which there's nothing wrong with it, but it imparts more of that vanilla flavor than the European barrels do. So I really enjoy it when I find a Rioja that is, first of all, lighter, not heavily extracted. And then for the oak aging, there's a lighter touch. And because the oak here is French, it's much, much more subtle. This wine would be $32 on the shelf at the store. You're receiving it this month at the club price of $25.60. I hope you enjoy it. I was really excited to come across this wine, and I hope you enjoy it as much as I did. Cheers. You'll be receiving the next two wines if you're a wine explorer at the $150 monthly level. But again, if you're a $100 explorer and you'd like to purchase a bottle of either of these at the club price this month, as long as there's wine available, just let me know and we will get you some. So the next wine is the 2021 Nikolai Hoff Gruner Veltliner Hefabzug. This is another wine that I have loved for years. As you know, we are really crazy about Austrian wines at LouElla's, but the wines of Nikolai Hoff are really something special. Not only is Nikolai Hoff one of the first estates to embrace fully biodynamic farming in the Wachau, they have some really ancient history in the region as well. Some of their vineyards, for example, the Im Weingebirge parcel that they farm, there are records going back to 470 AD about the existence of that vineyard. And the wines of the Wachau are arguably the greatest of Austria. They're certainly the most complex and the most age-worthy. Again, this is a Gruner Veltliner, and Hefabzug, the name of this cuvee, means aged on lees in German. Lees are the little bits of grape skin and yeast that settle at the bottom of fermentation tanks during winemaking. And if those lees are stirred up into the wine as it ages, it adds an extra creaminess, structure. It helps affect the acidity balance of the wine in a very positive way. Just overall gives it more breadth and depth. This is an absolutely delicious wine, one of my favorite cuvées of Gruner Veltliner from anywhere in Austria. Normally it'd be it'd be $39 on the shelf. For club members this month, it's $31.20. So I hope you enjoy the 2021 Nikolai Hoff Gruner Veltliner Hefabzug. The last wine for September is the 2021 Jean-Michel Stéphane Vin de France Syrah. This is another wine that I feel some personal connection to. Not only did I, about 20 years ago, work for Jean-Michel Stéphane's American importer, his were some of the first European vineyards I ever had an opportunity to visit. Jean-Michel Stéphane works in Côte-Rôtie, one of the appellations that sit on extremely steep slopes in the northern Rhone region of France. Here he grows almost primarily Syrah. Jean-Michel was and is one of the great pioneers of natural winemaking in this part of France. Over 30 years, he's been growing his fruit completely free of chemical treatments of any kind. And of course, everything is done by hand. In these very, very steep vineyards, you couldn't use machines even if you wanted to, because quite frankly, they would just roll off the side of the hill into the river. Now, Jean-Michel Stéphane is most famous for his Côte-Rôtie wine, which is now, and always was, extremely expensive. Now it's probably well over $150 a bottle retail in the US. This wine, the Vin de France Syrah, is being made from some younger vines that he purchased in the last few years. Basically, in order to provide his son, Romain, who has started working with him, with more land to work with moving on into the future. But the way they work these vines, even though they're much younger and on kind of flatter slopes than the Côte-Rôtie, is in the same methodology he makes his Côte-Rôtie with. Everything's done by hand, natural yeast fermentation, very, very minimal use of sulfites, and no additives of any kind. This is very, very non-interventionist winemaking, but it's clean winemaking. This isn't kind of funky and natural. This tastes purely of Syrah to me. Black olive, dark black cherry fruit. There's spice, there's leather. Yes, there's some earthiness to it as well, but it is a really pure expression of the way Syrah grows in this part of France. It's a beautiful wine. I hope you enjoy it. It is normally $43 a bottle retail. This month you're getting it for the club price of $34.40. Okay, that's it for the September Wine Club. Again, I really hope you're enjoying going on this adventure with us, and I look forward to talking to you again for the October installment. Take care.